good?
We're good.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Item 1, citizens' time. Anybody? Hearing none. Item 2, phase 2 sewer project.
Okay, so, we have peer review comments from Woodard and Curran that, Dan can go over with you. Did you want a copy of these, or do you have a copy? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and J. There you go. So those are for 93 Kendall.
Yeah, so, we met with them after we issued our original letter like a month ago. We ran through that with them. They just the main thing out of that meeting we were still concerned about was their sewer capacity review. So understanding the base of design flows for each property and, the design calculations as a whole for the pump stations. We were just having a hard time following the engineer and really understanding how they were deriving their flows and the design of their pump station holistically. So with that, we decided to issue another letter that gave them a little more detail on exactly what we're looking at. They're eager to get going, so figured this was the best interest of everyone to get some specifics on some paper here and issue this to make it really clear what we're looking for, so we don't keep going back and forth. So specifically, we were looking for sewer design flows for 87, 98, 84, 92 Kendall Road. And then other Kendall Road residences, the 1,000 gallons per day they provided us. Confirming that the flows used are average daily flows. And a peaking factor, 5.6. Was used. And we just made the comment that just to make sure that they're designing their gravity system so the pipes are 50% or lower in flows, peak hour flow conditions. So those are the main things we brought up to them. They want to meet again next week and see what they have to say then. They're proposing to use a 1-lift station, which we've used, had success with before on a smaller station. So they sent over a cut sheet on that. So that's kind of where things stand with that development.
Anybody got any questions?
Is this for the 2 properties on the Brock's property behind the DPW, right? Or is this
No,
only
it's
the
the other
external
side,
flows?
right?
Yeah, it's-
It's the other side.
So anything not their stuff? across
Yeah,
the
it's just
street,
everything.
The over 55 with the
Yeah.
elderly housing, and then
It's
the
just-
other property, 98, is that the one down further?
Yeah, the idea is just to make sure they're showing their work on everything.
Yeah.
So we walk away from this understanding how they're calculating the flows, so we don't end up with pump stations that just aren't operating
Yeah.
in a fashion that is good for the collection system.
So what was allocated to Brock's total from Middlesex? What was it?
So on the parcel that is adjacent to the DPW site, behind the park and ride, I think in total for them, I wanna say it might have been, was it 36,000 for the 2 lots? Something in that ballpark, I wanna say. And then across the street, because they didn't know what they were gonna be putting on there, Jack had calculated out highest and best used for, what it was zoned for, and I wanna say that was in the 24,000 maybe range. I have all those numbers in my office, but, so they wanna take into account their own site, across the street, the potential housing development, and I think Duck's Garage was one of the ones there, the DPW site. They just wanna make sure everything is sized for any of those potential ones that are coming through that they've had discussions with.
And we've held capacity back through Drayton?
Yes, well, we haven't, Jack calculated, we haven't reserved anything for 98 or the housing until they pay. But they're all aware that, you know, as of right now, there's capacity, but that it's first come, first serve, and,
Yeah.
you know, they're well aware they would need to pay something
But,
to.
so, Drake, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Once we did the full build-out, we're like looking at like 800 or 850,000 a
It's-
day,
it's
which would leave
get-
us 150,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, it's getting up there.
So we're not, we're not anywhere near.
Not tight like we are with
No,
Chelmsford, no.
Right,
not
yeah.
this side.
No.
And that includes this, the 850?
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
believe it included, I think Jack's numbers to us recently were pretty much up to date with those parcels as well. And those also include all the Toll Brothers, so that whole development is in there too. I'd have to, actually, I do have the Drake Gate capacity numbers here, so,
I did that, not surprising.
let's see.
That's a problem, drinking from anywhere, that's another issue.
So the latest on that, alright, so, let's see. Okay, so on the latest one that Jack had sent, it looked like there would be, with everything reserved for phase two, Toll Brothers, 84 Kendall, there would have been like 41,000 left. However, that's when we came in front of you and said, do you still want us to reserve for like Locust Ave? And there were some that we had brought up in front of you guys and you had said no. So he was going to then go back and add those reserves back in to increase this number. I haven't seen a capacity sheet since then. I am working with Woodard and Curran right now on trying to get really close numbers for the Chelmsford and the Dracut side. Going parcel by parcel to kind of see who's connected, that make sure there's nobody in the reserve column that is connected and so forth. So we'll have a better number on Dracut soon, within probably the next couple weeks.
Yep, we have the sheet updated with the latest flow information, and now it's
Yes.
just settling up between me and Kathy, making sure we're tracking everything the same way.
I'm sending them monthly meter readings, so as I get them from Paul, I have a spreadsheet, I calculate out how much has been used month by month, and then I send that off to them so that we can, once we get it settled, we can be like pretty on top of all of that.
Did we have any, big increase this spring versus last spring with all the rain we've been getting?
I think they were pretty similar. Last year was a super wet season, as you know,
But also-
and I think this season, from what we've last seen, it's still pretty big. Most of that is Charles George.
Charles, right.
Which just is huge, it really is, it's just, that's a huge amount of clean, water going in.
What
So
was
whenever it
interesting
rains,
is it
that's
looked
pretty-
like the peak, the ones that were the highest last year, and the one that was next to it, they kind of flipped.
Yeah.
We can look at
For
it
different
next
meter,
meeting.
you're talking meter wise, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little, wasn't the same pattern as last year, but.
A lot of that could have to
elevated.
do with what area got new connections that are
Yeah,
going through that meter.
That's what me and Christian were
Yeah,
thinking. is-
versus a drier area, which Charles George is gonna drop that really low. But we'll definitely be on the same page, cause we'll have all that
Mhm.
detail done. And could you sign this, Brian? This is the amendment to, the peer review contract, because, 93 Kendall is sending an additional 5,000 because they're out of their peer review money, and there's still some more engineering work to go.
What was the dollar?
It's on the actual contract there, I think,
So this is then for
an additional 5,000.
To the
the
original.
total 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, the original was 8.
Thank you.
Is that it, phase two?
Yes.
All right, old business, phase one west, 50 Westford Road. Nothing. 95, 97 Kendall?
No.
Nothing. Discussion on sewer garage? Nothing. I&I program?
We have a new EPA contact person. We had one gentleman that was our contact guy for the grants for all of the phase one East 3 and 5 project design, as well as the II capacity, but he just reached out to me last week that he's leaving, so there is a new personnel that we're gonna be working with. So I did do a drawdown last week while he was still there. So we're caught up on any bills that have come through for the II capacity, and we've been reimbursed for those so far.
Nice. Future sewer phases? Nothing.
No.
I do have an update
Oh.
on the meter data.
Okay.
Just to give a full, backwards-looking, summary. The mission data showed Progress Ave, Bridge Meadow and Flint Corner pump stations showing signs of II. During that analysis, we put our 5 meters in. We did 5 weeks of monitoring. We just analyzed the data for both inflow and infiltration over the last couple of weeks since we last met. We did not do the St. George's one, the reason was we were trying to get an update for you today and also talk about next steps regarding other SSES. So this puts us in a position to mobilize nighttime flow measurements in some of the problematic areas that we identified, and then follow up CCTV based on what the findings are of those nighttime flow measurements. So working our way upstream and trying to target where the high flows are actually coming from in the areas we flagged during our metering. So the 2 areas we identified as having infiltration that was excessive, so the DEP guidelines say 5,000 gallons per day per inch diameter mile. So the 2 that were exceeding that or close to it was on Constantine Drive. We identified about close to 5,500 gallons per day per inch diameter mile. There was some storms towards the end of that 5-week period at the beginning of May that we saw the highest response from. The next steps there is gonna be doing that flow monitoring and the CCTV inspections afterwards. And then we also saw some evidence of inflow during the end of that period. So that would trigger, doing some smoke testing as well, once things dry up a little bit more. And then the other area was on Westford Road, that catchment, heading down to Dunstable. We saw 3,200 gallons per day per inch diameter mile, so not as concerned with that area, but we're gonna do the instantaneous flow monitoring there just to see if there are any areas that would warrant some CCTV as well. So that's gonna be coming up, working with our sub-consultants to get them on the books. We could be scheduling stuff next week. I'll coordinate it with Paul, and we'll get that completed before things really dry up.
Isn't Westford Road phase 1? Is Westford
The
Road
lower
5?
half, the lower half,
The lower half.
down by Sullivan's.
Right.
We're up by Flint's Corner.
Oh, okay,
Flint's
Yeah.
so
Corner.
that goes,
All
all right.
old
Yeah.
Okay.
infrastructure, yeah.
No, I got it, okay, I've got it, thank you. Go ahead.
You're still learning.
So how do you measure that? Say on the Constantine line, you basically take it from where the houses end, so you get a point there,
Yeah, you
and
would-
then when it gets to the pump station?
Yeah, you'd start at the bottom and you just keep going up manholes where it stems out, and you see where the higher flows are coming during the night when no one's using sewer. So you start like at midnight and you just work throughout the night and just go through the manholes and try to figure out where the highest amounts are coming in, and then you bring in the CCTV camera to see where that active flow is actually coming from. And that'll lead us to be able to have the information we need to come up with recommendations for any repairs to try to remove the II.
Anything else?
So hopefully we have some updates next month.
Flint's Corner, anything?
So I did email the attorney and engineer back at the end of May, providing new contacts for Woodard and Curran, because they had been working with Jack. And I did remind them again that we're waiting for them to contact us to come to a meeting to bring up a draft, updated MOA, as well as discuss timelines with you all. I haven't heard back from them at all.
When did you notify him?
So Jack notified him the first time, I wanna say it was the end of April. I notified them on May 27th, and I haven't received a response yet. So the first one that Jack sent out was, let's see, April 25th. He sent it to the attorney and to the engineer, no response, and then I sent it basically a month later, updating them, don't deal with Jack anymore, we have a new contact. But I didn't even get a reply, so I don't know. I don't know if you wanna do a deadline and have me, email that, or,
Who was that?
that's for the Flint's Corner development. Because they're still doing some remediation work out front, which is, they're interested in moving forward in the project, they're doing some remediation work under the parking lot out front. and that's what's delaying their permitting and so
Even
forth.
when-
So they did tell us that, but I know you guys wanted to update
Yeah,
it.
no, I was gonna say, I mean, I haven't been around that much, but I haven't seen any yet. I go by there every
Haven't
morning.
seen
when I'm
anybody
home. I
working
haven't
up
seen
there.
anybody.
Maybe they're under the parking lot.
I don't know.
I mean, they did have some in the back there where the dry cleaners was.
Right, I
That
think-
was taken care of a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
How long are we gonna wait for these guys?
What's the flow of the reserve?
27,000 gallons a day.
So there's,
When's that next meeting?
It would be the second Thursday in July, which I think is the 10th.
Okay, and you sent your letter when?
I sent an email May 27th.
I would say if you don't have an answer, if you don't hear from them by June 27th,
Yep,
you just send them a letter, say be at our next meeting, or, everything will be reconsidered.
okay, I'll send a certified
How
letter.
do you guys feel? I mean, this has been going on now for what, 2 years?
Well, yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at the next item on the agenda, thinking, you know.
That doesn't matter.
That's what I was thinking, but
Yeah, but
anyway.
I mean, how long are we gonna,
Right,
they keep
so,
saying they're
so
gonna
I
come in,
think
they're working on it and everything else, at least come in and tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
I agree, no question about that.
So that's what I mean, that would be, June 27th, that'd be 2 months they've had to at least notify us.
Plus, it's been 2 years, right?
Yeah,
It's
but I
been-
mean, if they can't even reach out and notify us,
yeah.
why should we hang around waiting for them to?
No, listen, I agree, no question about
I
it.
will do that. I
Yeah,
will make sure
okay.
they have a certified letter by then. Okay.
Cause I would still give them a couple of weeks to get ready for the meeting.
All right. All right, new business, topic the chair did not reasonably anticipate would be discussed. Anything?
Yes, I just have a quick, I have the answer that I've interpreted, but I wanna make sure we're all on the same page. So we got our first ADU that came in today for a sewer tie-in as-built. And so in regard to fees, you know, we had just decided on all the fees, so I asked, is this an attached or detached? And he's like, I think it's considered detached, but basically I pulled the plan off. The only thing he's building a garage with an apartment, 1-bedroom apartment. But the only thing that's connecting that to the main house is a farmer's porch. So you'd have to come out of the house to go into the house. I talked to the town planner, and I talked to Jake, and I think we all think that that's detached. I asked the gentleman, I said, well, when you went before ZBA, do you know what they said? And he's thinking maybe detached, but I just wanted to confirm before I start telling him prices. Do you consider that detached if the only thing is a farmer's porch connecting it?
What's the address?
It's 151, I think, Willowdale Road.
Which one goes along, Ave?
It's the main road.
The main
It's the
one?
main one.
The
Yeah.
one that goes along, is that Ave goes along that?
Ave goes along the lake.
Yeah. So they're saying that's what's connected?
Yes. And I think page 2 is a better view as well of, the two buildings.
Normally when to be connected, you have
Oh,
a breezeway with 2 separate doors and like a mudroom.
Is there another one on the other side of that? Yeah, I think it was that one there. He just thought that showed the floor plan better a little bit, but
Existing first floor, it's a new garage.
new garage, new apartment.
So he's putting the garage with a
Own
apartment above.
separate, own separate, foundation for that, and then it's just the porch that connects it, but you have to come outside to go from one to the other.
So,
Not living space, not a hallway,
Right,
that's detached.
I thought so too, and that seems to be the consensus from
Yeah,
everyone.
anybody can do that, if they're gonna play around with the rules, just build a 70-foot walkway to the other one.
Okay. Um,
well, I agree with you, I think that is detached. that
You
should,
can be detached now.
what?
You can have it.
I understand that, but I don't think that should be, well, it matters for the fee, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that should be up to us, whatever's determined by, you know,
Tax card.
the building inspector, the planning board, whoever, right?
And attached is attached, pretty simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Within
No,
your
it's not
footprint of
attached.
your,
So if,
It was attached.
if the other people are saying it's detached, then
yeah, I mean, that was
Yeah,
Ben's
it's different.
interpretation, and this gentleman was trying to, he was fine to work with.
Yeah.
But I think he was like, yeah, I think it's considered detached, so I just wanted you to know,
Yeah.
since our first one, that's come through. And then one other question, so when it comes to the town's fees, like, when we had started the betterment projects, you all took a vote back then that when obviously they're exempt from betterment fees, but you also said that they were exempt from application fees, so I never charged anything like that. So it came up about a cut and cap for the middle school, and the first time they came through, I think it was their contractor who applies, so it didn't even cross my mind, so I charged them $100. And then now there's the second piece of that, and they said, oh yeah, usually you guys waive town fees. I was like, yes, you're right, we do usually. Goes with cut and caps as well, correct? Like, we're not charging town departments.
No.
Okay, good, cause they have a council on aging, cut and cap they're gonna be doing soon, and I just wanna make sure, okay.
We're gonna charge
So-
double for that.
Give the middle
So we
school-
won't- okay,
Give the middle
so-
school back their $100.
Yeah.
That should keep it under budget.
Help the school department.
Yeah, so that's it, that's all I have under that.
All right, next item B, Tyngsborough Housing Authority, Brindley Terrace, request to connect. Would that be you?
That would be me.
Okay, so, I'm sure you know the history, right?
I know some of it. I'm Mike Carter from GCG Associates,
Yeah,
and we're the engineer for the housing authority.
okay.
They asked me to come tonight.
So, why don't you tell us what you're looking for flow? There's some issues there, you didn't pick up on it already.
I already picked up. I have an email from someone here saying no way. And I don't know why. Was it a betterment job? Is that why they didn't pay a betterment?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly, they didn't, well, we asked them to pay a payment in lieu of, to make some of type of payment towards and they were the only ones who decided not to.
Okay.
So
So I
no,
figured,
that's not the whole story. They had gotten some money, and we asked them to contribute that to the project.
Right, but
And
bottom
said-
line is they said no.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Correct. So,
so basically they have 6 septic systems out there. We've actually replaced, they were built about 43 years ago, they're original to the thing. We replaced one in 2013 because it was failing. And at that time, we did some modifications to hopefully prolong the lives of the other one, which are still functioning. And the housing authorities through the state, EOHLC asked us to take a look at it again, because I believe they're having some problems. And so then I saw a sewer out front at the time, and I said, oh, let's connect, that's easy. And hence we're here. And I've been told, I know there's not gallonage, but they're looking, they have, if you do Title V flows, it comes out to 6,140 gallons a day for all the bedrooms up there. So that's where we are, and I guess they asked to come before you tonight, so I'm here on their behalf.
yeah, so I told them that we couldn't do anything unless the board voted because of the issue with the flow, but we had this brief conversation earlier about this other development. And we're not at capacity yet, right? But it could be an issue down the road if we don't get more. So now we have this other issue with the other, so there could be some available if this doesn't come through, right?
Without that other development, with that other development, what do we have additional capacity?
You talking about if Flint's Corner didn't do this?
Even if Flint's Corner ties in, what do we have left over?
0.
0?
Yeah. Yeah, because last August, unbeknownst to all of us, when we talked to EPA with discussions about getting them, where are they at, that's when they brought out the document from 30 years ago that said they could have 57,000 gallons a day. None of us knew that.
Right.
So we were going by what their average flow was at the time, which was like 30,000 less than that. So we'll have tighter numbers once we get everything narrowed down, but as of Jack's last looking at it, if EPA chose to use their full thing, you'd actually be a little bit in the negative on paper.
So two things can happen. Charles George, EPA, does something there to take the rainwater out of our system.
Yep,
Or Flint's decides
yep, so
that they
Charles,
don't- that they don't wanna commit.
Charles George right now, even though they have the capacity to use 57, on average, what they were giving us for readings was showing about 27,000 gallons a day. However, Paul pulls his own recently.
Yeah, we're up to 90.
It like some days it's high. It
During
is
the rain
high.
event.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think when we talk again and meet again with them, we really should compare how they're reading their meter readings to ours, and for those specific days that we have, because they were like in the 80-something thousand gallons, and that would even exceed what on paper they were even allowed. So that was a very small. We only have like a few months of
Yeah.
that, but even if we compare that to what they have and take a look at that, it's possible on high rain events they're putting in more than, you know, obviously you'd wanna look at a whole year to figure out your average day, but yeah, so yes, Daryl, yep. And what will we find out from the I&I project if we do some rehab? I have no idea what those numbers look like, how much you'd reclaim from that. So it's really, I think you have to honor EPA, all the Phase 1 West betterments, and then use that as a starting point to see if any of these projects drop off and therefore they're not being reserved. That would, you know, we can then play and look at the numbers, but I'd say you'd wanna get your definite numbers first and have some conversations with EPA just to, for security reasons, you know?
When are you looking to do the project?
They were originally looking to do it this year. Obviously, this is a monkey wrench. They may end up going with septics in the end. If it starts failing immediately, we have to, we'll start doing septics like we did. 2013, I actually was involved and I looked at, one of the options I looked at was trying to get sewer out up there, down the main road, and we looked at it as an alternative, paying for it out of the housing authority through the state, obviously. And they opted not to, and then, so we put it in that field, and I can't predict, but we've gotten 12 more years out of the ones that were, the soils are pretty decent out there.
It's real sandy over
Yeah.
there.
So it's the old riverbed.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that, well, unless we increase flow, right, through Chelmsford, now, I had a talk with, Jim, thank you, sir.
That's okay, I'm new.
So, anyway, but I don't know if it's too early to even, cause he talked to somebody in Lowell and they had some ideas, but I don't know if it's too early to even mention, I don't know if you did any follow-up on that yet, to mention any other towns that are involved. So, I mean, that's a possibility, and if what we were saying is true, it could happen, we would get flow on paper, and then it would give us time. We'd have to, obviously, we have to do this all legally, and we would be able to work with Chelmsford over a number of years to increase the pipe size to accommodate the additional flow. But I'm assuming you haven't talked to anybody.
I did talk to the engineer at the wastewater.
Yeah.
And this was just a very quick conversation. So he threw out the idea of talking to Tewksbury. Cause he thinks Tewksbury has got, cause you've allotted so much flow. And in his mind, it's like, I don't think Tewksbury's ever gonna use the flow, what they have allocated to them.
Right.
Whether they'll give it up or not, cause a lot of times communities won't give it up and just say, we don't care, we're just gonna keep it, cause who knows, maybe someday we'll need it. So I think, that's probably, his thought was that might be the best option. And
So-
and I think we talked to, how much does Lowell need? I think you will probably wanna have us, sit down and talk to them, initially with Lowell, about who's got what, how much do you think that they need, and then come up with a plan on who to talk to. I know Chelmsford is, they probably don't have any extra capacity.
No.
They just don't have it.
They don't have any.
They're maxed, I think.
They're maxed out, so they're probably looking for more too. I know Chelmsford, approached DEP a while ago to build their own wastewater treatment plant.
Down by the south well.
And they just said no. Why? They just said they didn't want another outfall on the Merrimack River.
Right.
That was their rationale, as simple as that. So,
But even if Tewksbury gave it to us, we'd still have the problem with it being, making it through the pipes and.
Yeah.
Right, but it would give we're not, our issue, my point is, our issue is not, we'll have the flow today, but in 10 years or 20 years, we could have the issue.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. I agree
So,
with that.
so if we were to get it from there, then we could get an agreement with Tewksbury to work on the pipe size, and by that time, but it doesn't help us today unless we get that agreement.
Right,
To
right.
say, okay, we know we're gonna have this additional flow.
and I don't know, this is just kind of thinking off the top of my head, is there, anything politically? We know that, we know that the administration right now, governor is like, they wanna do anything they possibly can to increase housing.
Well,
And
if
if
that's the case.
you had more sewer capacity, you'd probably have more housing, right? And I think that's,
Right, but if that's the case, we wanna put pressure on the Flint's Corner.
That's a
Because,
housing.
because
Yeah.
they connected, the developer there is quite close to Larry Trahan.
so I'm wondering if there's, if anyone has started to have those conversations with the governor's office. Cause Chelmsford would like more capacity, you would like more capacity. I don't know about Drake, if they're okay,
No, Drake, it's.
I mean, we did get
Tapped out.
they're tapped out.
Yeah,
They're sending it to the Boom.
yeah.
we did get a,
So-
that II capacity grant through Representative Trahan's office
Yeah.
because she was very involved with Chelmsford and Lowell and all of us with this capacity issue. So I think her office looked at that as if that's a way to gain some capacity and help alleviate some of these towns' problems. So that was great. We did get that capacity grant through them because I think this is a hot issue that they're looking at. And if, I just don't know how much you'd reclaim from the project.
We'll just get some money to do, the sewer and drain separation in Centerville,
Right.
so that should open up some capacity there too.
So then, that's another issue. I know that the way that the flows are allocated to each community, that sewer separation, it's their average daily flows. So they're really not penalizing anybody because of that additional flow that ends up being overflow. But theoretically, that's gonna free up some capacity for Lowell
Right.
wastewater treatment plant. It really will. How much it's gonna increase the capacity or when that's gonna happen,
Right.
but it is definitely gonna increase. They just won't have to treat as much as much sewage.
But that's
once
not
they
gonna,
separate.
that's not gonna.
That's years.
Right, that's not gonna help us out today.
Right.
We have an issue today, and basically, if we to approve it with rolling the dice, hoping we get more capacity, or we're conservative, we don't approve it so that we don't wanna take that chance, so.
And then the other thing I think I think the next step is for us to talk to Lowell. They seemed very helpful. This is just the engineering department in Lowell. This isn't, the administration. And we work with them all the time. He's very helpful. So I do wanna understand, is there anything, can Lowell increase the capacity of their treatment plant? My guess is they haven't evaluated that for years, because Lowell doesn't have to, they're fine. Lowell doesn't, they don't need the extra capacity. So, I'd like to talk to them about that. And then get a sense, have a more serious discussion about, do they think it would be possible to get an allocation from Tewksbury?
Well, we'd be better off just reaching out to them.
That's what I was just
Directly?
gonna ask.
You could.
I used to work there.
And
I know the DPW director.
So they have a new DPW director now, do you know?
Kevin, right?
Kevin, yeah.
Yeah, he was town engineer, so I
Right,
worked
now,
with him.
and Tewksbury has a new town manager too. So, and I know him very well, and he's pretty fiscally savvy, so I could see some people just saying, we don't wanna give up any capacity. He's gonna look at it and say, well, I'll give some up, but you'll probably wanna get compensated for it, which you'll probably would be willing to do.
Right. I mean, we have to pay for it, we gotta pay for it before.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't we pay for it now?
Exactly. So we can talk to Tewksbury first.
That's probably the easiest thing to do right now at this point.
Yep.
But even if we get that, it's only gonna help us through break-it.
No, this is through Junction.
No, this is
But
for
we don't
Tewksbury.
know the pipe size. There's a $4.5 million, it's not gonna happen, upsizing. Right, and even if we get the capacity,
Right.
you're looking at Chelmsford upsizing those pipes.
Right.
And
Right.
2 years ago, they gave us an estimate of $4.5 million.
Now it's probably double, I think.
We basically can't
You'll be
send them
on your
any more
second
than
set
we're
of
allocated.
septic system by the time that gets done.
I won't be here.
Right, so-
Yeah,
and then-
you'll be retired.
And then obviously you'd have to pay for any of the infrastructure that you would.
Well, that
Sorry.
includes the $4.5 million, upgrading your pumps, upsizing the pipe. And it was probably on the high side, cause, well, actually, we paid for the study,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they went high on everything. But still, even if it's 3.
Well, whatever it is, I think we need to do it, regardless of whether we're
Yeah.
talking about the housing authority or who knows what's gonna come down the road somewhere else. So if we could get a commitment for additional flow and then we work with Chelmsford to do work however many years down the road.
Right.
I was saying in Drake, I know the capacity, but if we took the Tewksbury, so they gave us 100,000, 75,000, can we put it through Drake pipes? Are they big enough? Like Chelmsford says they're not. But Drake it, cause most of our development probably will come up on the MBTA thing there.
No.
If anything, that's where we're gonna get a big number. They already came in, but they need 100,000, 150,000?
Oh, that vacant parcel up on the
It's
hill?
300.
They wanted
300.
350,000 gallons a day.
350,000, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's to do the apartment stuff. A warehouse won't take much. I think we.
Right.
Yeah.
How long of a run of pipe is it that would need to be upsized?
Chelmsford?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, maybe 2
We have
mile
a
and half?
feasibility study that
Should look at
details
that.
all of that in
Yeah.
it.
I don't, go for it, you get a rough idea, so, well,
Schedule a meeting with
Upsize the
Tewksbury.
pipe.
I think it's 36 inch going down.
yeah.
What's that?
I said we can
It's the pipe
schedule a
itself
meeting
and
with
then it was
Tewksbury.
the
Alright.
Southwell
Yeah.
station.
Wanna do, yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with looking into all these things, we just go with eyes wide open.
Right.
Any of these things are,
You know you're not gonna get it from Chelmsford, I mean, they don't have anything yet, I don't think, even if they wanted to,
Right.
right? But Tewksbury, according to the engineer in Lowell, his thought was they've got some extra capacity. So, maybe they'd be interested in doing something.
So it's a start.
Okay.
First steps to get the capacity.
Exactly, right. And then obviously you're gonna have to pay money for some infrastructure but you've gotta just put all that together and determine is it worth it to do that?
And we'd have to talk to like bond counsel, cause you definitely have to borrow if you're talking that much,
Right.
for sure.
Right, and then
You're talking to the,
I'm talking about the upgrades.
yeah.
oh yeah,
And maybe the purchase of the capacity, I don't
Yeah.
know what that would, I think in the past it was before my time in there, but I think they were on a payment plan for that capacity, where they were paying so much every year, now I don't know if they had
To
borrowed,
Chelmsford?
yeah, did
Yeah,
they,
we're paying them so much per year.
through directly to
and they
Chelmsford?
gouge us
Okay,
big time.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, I don't know if that's the standard way that happens, that was all before I started in there, but, you know, you'd need money for that, but the infrastructure for sure, you'd have to borrow, I mean, that's a ton of money that,
better hope that truck lasts a long time, Paul.
I won't
That's a-
seriously, Joe, I won't have to worry about it.
Well, you're right, the first thing is to see if you can get more capacity and then see
Well,
what it's
first
gonna
of all,
cost and then you decide what you wanna do.
We gotta tighten up on our own system.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
so,
So that's probably
Can I
the
ask a
most
question?
cost-effective way to get more capacity, is take flow out of your own system.
Charles George is a big
Good.
nugget.
All right, hold on.
So in a lot of, I do this I'm on your side of the table in other towns, and the towns find eye, and then they need to do work to improve it. And some towns have a program where, an applicant like the housing authority can say, okay, I need 6,000 gallons. He has found say you found 12,000 gallons, because usually it's 2 for 1 or something
Right.
like 3 for 1.
Right.
3 or 4.
Do you have anything like that where the housing authority could either make the repairs or pay the town, whatever the cost is to have those repairs made? And then that gives you free gallonage, right? Or frees up, in theory,
Yes.
some gallonage. That's just a question. I know I've done that in other towns, on the town's behalf, on that side, your side.
We don't know what that number is yet, right?
Well, it's peak flows, it looks like on paper 58,000 in the really bad area on Constantine is
A
like
day?
peak infiltration, yeah, 50,000 gallons a day. So if you can get rid of half of that, which is the rule of thumb, that's like 25,000 gallons of peak. What that would turn into average.
We have problems at our
And
road,
and you're looking for
so
6,000.
6,000, so.
we need to take care of our problems first.
But that's 6,000 average daily flow, right?
Yeah, so you would go for, I mean, not telling anybody, but, and it's like in Ashland, they used to do this a lot when we went through their system in like 2000 to 2015. And, so if I needed 6,000, we tell the applicant, you gotta pay, we have 12,000 a year. And the DEP recommends more than that, Ashland chose 2 to 1.
Yeah, usually it's
And-
3.
Yeah, and, so the applicant would just say, okay, over here on X Street, the engineer would say, we found a 35,000 gallon leak actually one day by Cameron. And so the choice was either the developer went and fixed it, or the town, they gave the town the money to, if it would cost 100,000 to fix it, the applicant gave the town 100,000 and they got fixed, and then he got his fault.
Right.
That's just an option I was asking if that's in place, but doesn't,
Yeah.
not quite there yet.
Well,
Yeah.
So they don't have anything in their ordinance for that.
No, but there's usually 2 options. You can have the developer go out and just hire someone, fix it, send the CCTV or whatever, confirm it was fixed, or you just have your little list together and then they put money into a escrow account or whatever, like a bank account. The town goes out and does the work, and pays for it out of there.
Right.
Well, we've had in the past allowed developers to put it in and taking it off their tire yard.
Right.
And that numerous times.
So that's something that could be on the table if we, so yeah, the answer is yes, I guess.
If you had a,
It could be on
problem,
it could be on a table, but we don't know what that number is yet, right? How long till you get that number?
I think we could figure that out in the next month. Ideally, we're here in a month talking about it, but it could be 2 months.
Yeah. Well, maybe, so that's, we got a couple of options.
Yeah,
then.
they're not imminent failure out there, let's put it that way, we're not pumping quite regularly yet, so.
How's the configuration as far as getting it down to the street if you do that? Is it all?
It's easy, it's all gravity, I've already designed, done a schematic design. I did it actually a long time ago, in 2013, because I did a layout all the way down. I
Right.
can't remember the name of it.
Oh, all the way down, yeah.
All the way down past, Notre Dame, all the way back down past that next center, it was a long ways down.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right, so why don't, we'll keep you on the agenda and we'll, let you know when,
Okay.
if we should come back in or not.
All right.
Then we can just skip over it if we don't need
Okay.
it. Does that
Appreciate
sound-
it, yep, that sounds reasonable.
All right, perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 5, sewer administrator's report.
Okay, so we have our meeting minutes to approve from May 22nd, both regular and executive session.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 22nd as printed.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Haven't seen none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Make a motion to approve the executive session minutes from May 22nd as printed, not to be released.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Haven't seen none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Okay, we have some bills warrants for you to review. Oh, and can I also get your signatures on, as you'll recall at the last meeting, we had that public, hearing to adjust the betterment regs. And then these particular betterment regs, when I went to update them, I think because the attorney had drawn them up, they were actually your signatures on the back, so I just need you to each sign the back of that. And those are the updated regs with the changes that you voted on at the last meeting.
So we voted on these last meeting, and somebody already put in an application.
Nope, those are for the betterment ones, but ADU, you did
Oh,
vote,
right.
yes, for the ADU ones, yes, you did do that. And here are some bills warrants to review. Brian, I have a question, a procedural question for you. When you go into executive session, do you, are you allowed to take a vote in there, or do you have to come back into regular session to take a vote?
You can take votes in there, but if they have money,
Yep.
they have to be confirmed in open session.
Okay, so what I'll probably do, if it's okay with you, I did put it on the agenda, is there is a vote I need you to take. And it's for, a particular work, so I think it's fine to do that in regular session.
Is that for the,
Settlement work,
yeah, okay.
yeah, so if that's okay.
What did we do? So we just need to do the same motion, confirm it, and,
I typed up a motion for you, but basically, just to give you a little background, as you know, we have the settlement work, and we were originally planning on using money in fiscal '25 for that. It was unanticipated, so it's not that the money was earmarked for that, but it's in our capital budget, and it's infrastructure work, so that's fine. So Chris Petrini had asked me to talk to the finance director, cause he said, I think there's some exemption in there when it comes to legal settlements, that you can encumber those funds. So I did talk to him, and he asked me about the procurement, and I said, well, we have an ongoing contract specific to this with Woodard and Curran, and the contractor we're using is under contract with us as well. And he thought that that was fine if you took a vote to encumber any, and there isn't an amount, but any unused capital funds from fiscal '25, we can encumber to fiscal '26 to continue moving forward with this, settlement work. But anything that gets encumbered, you usually have to use by September 30th. So, but at least gives us a few more months to, get some more bills. So I do have a motion typed up if you guys,
so, just,
do you wanna do that?
yeah, just question.
Yes.
So we didn't take a vote on an executive session on this,
No,
so, but it's on the agenda, so we're good.
correct. Yeah, I was just wanted to make sure it didn't have to be done in executive session, but I think that it's fine, cause we were given permission to talk about the settlement work in regular session.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to encumber any remaining capital funds from fiscal year '25 over to fiscal year '26 to continue the settlement infrastructure work under the following contracts. Vesper Sewer Pump Station Settlement Engineering Services Agreement, and the infrastructure work will be done under the contract with LeBlanc General Contractor.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing seen none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you. Did I get that? Yeah, okay. That's all that I have.
Did you see those? Alright, can we move on, or you want me to wait? Nope. Senior Foreman's report.
Elm Street generator's all done, it's all up and running now, everything's nice and pretty in there, so. We had, a situation last week on a Friday where Flint's Corner pump station got hit by lightning. Dunstable Road went out, so we're on generators all day. National Grid had to replace the transformer, Flint's Corner, that took a while, and, we had to replace the pump controller inside the station, cause that got fried. Right now, Charles George landfill is offline, because their station got hit by lightning. They lost, we have no flow now.
Freeze up some flow.
Keep it offline.
Keep that station down.
Where's it going, Darryl? It's
Yeah,
going
where's it going?
nowhere, it's just sitting in the wet wells, I don't know, it's discharging somewhere, I don't know where it's going. Their back well is not even on anymore, cause they need a new transformer, that's gonna take weeks, and they don't wanna get a generator, so, oh well.
So maybe they forced their design, and it's just going into the brooks.
But
Natural.
the front pump station, they lost their PLC, so they basically have to run that manually by hand. So, but the flow numbers have dropped off the face of the earth, because we're only getting flow from Progress Ave.
There's another data point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met with the new, vendor, Bateson, they're out of Andover, emergency pumping, wet well cleaning, whole 9 yards, I met with them the other day, I took them around all the pump stations, that's not a problem. He's got everything that you possibly a night. So he's gonna be doing a lot of overhead backer work. So we'll eliminate the confined space entry.
That it?
I had a phone call from, JP and Sons. He's, looking at, I'm gonna refresh your memory, 241 Pawtucket Boulevard, when we agreed to go down the shoulder road with the force main to a manhole, so he's looking into that right now. He's gonna give the guy a price so they can give us an engineering drawing and we can figure out what's going on there. And vacations are coming up, so a lot of people, everybody's gonna be on vacations, that's coming up, I'm on next week. Doug's on this week coming up, so.
I'm off the week of the 23rd.
Yeah, me too.
You are too, yeah.
So vacations are coming up before the end of June. But that's all I got.
All right. Complaints?
Yes, we got an odor complaint, Coben Road, so I explained to the gentleman about we're working on trying to get that bioxide system, but, Paul did a quick fix that we're hoping has helped the situation.
So basically what I did was I went out and bought a top. And I doubled it up on top and put it on top of the wet well cover. And holding it down with some bricks and some metal. That was last week.
And we haven't gotten any complaints since.
So $100,000 for dioxide?
So it's funny.
Double tops every time.
Jake said the same thing, so it's like, but that takes care of, it's been work, we'll see. But it doesn't take care of the hydrogen sulfide. Because that's gonna eat away at the wet well.
Is that the only complaint?
I think that's pretty good, considering they were complaining every other day.
What's the next step at car air freshener?
Yeah.
I said, how about some
I already got a
plantings,
cherry
or
bomb.
some, some lilac bushes or something.
Is there anything new on the,
On the biox system, I do have an update. I did reach back out to Todd, he followed up with me, so we've sent over all the information that he needs, so he sent it over to engineering, and they're gonna be working on coming up for something for us, and then give us some numbers and stuff like that.
Keep the top on it for 4 months out of the year. Hey,
If it works, I mean, so far so
we
good.
can take our time on the tank.
Executive session
Yes, just for quick updates.
on all?
I'd say as printed, if that's okay with you.
Yep. Somebody wanna make that motion?
sure, make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of pending litigation, Vespa Country Club and Stonehenge Farm Trust,
Okay, hold on.
as well as Pondview Place.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, Fred? Brian?
Yes.
Darryl?
Yes.
And will we take any votes?
No.
Only
So we'll come out for adjournment only. Thank you. and good luck.